We welcome you to this onboarding session. We thank you very much for taking out time to attend this onboarding and to making this first commitment to improving your organizational and company performance in terms of accessing contracts in the oil and gas sector in Uganda. Yes, we have an agenda outlined for you for today, which we are going to display. But at the beginning, for those who just joined, we have a QR code. Just for me to re-emphasize, we have a QR code that is right now on display. We kindly invite you to scan this code and register your participation, because at the end of this session, we shall share course resources with the registered participants. And also, if you're unable to scan the code, if you're using the phone itself, we have a link in the chat. This link will be posted regularly for you to access and register your attendance. So that's it for the housekeeping. Allow us to now start our onboarding session for the Bespoke Capacity Building Program at the IEC. Yes, to start off with, allow me to let you know that this is the second cohort of the onboarding. We welcome you to this onboarding session that will last for about 2.5 hours of intensive discussion. We hope to have a very interactive session with you. Feel free to put any questions you may have in the chat. You don't need to withhold your question, put it in the chat, and at the time we are reviewing, we shall be able to check the chat and respond to each and every one of your questions. So the purpose today is to onboard you for the Bespoke Capacity Building and Training Program that you applied for at the IEC. We want this session to be meaningful and to you, and to highlight what to expect during this capacity building journey, and what are the training components, what are the graduation requirements, and what you need to fulfill on your part as the SME in order to benefit from this program. The agenda, we've had welcome remarks. We are going to share a sustainability moment as a standard practice for the oil and gas sector. We try to enhance safety and sustainability, so we shall have a slide on this. We shall have a quick review of the IEC programs and services. We are quite certain some of you may have been here at the center before, but at least for the new people who have not heard about the IEC, we shall take you through the IEC and what mandate it has. In addition to that, we shall give you an overview of the IEC Capacity Building Program that is focused and bespoke, show you the training roadmap and the requirements for graduation. Most importantly, we shall introduce the business diagnostics tool. This is an important tool that we shall explain to you its role, purpose, and functionalities, such that we have fully onboarded you for this project, and we have set the ball rolling for you to now attend capacity building programs and be able to submit and win bids in the oil and gas sector. After that, we shall have a Q&A session, but as I said, please put any comments or requests for clarification. If you can't hear us, if you require any technical support, feel free to use the function of the chat, and then we hope to end towards midday 30. For now, allow me to welcome you again once again. We are very happy that over 45 people are in the chat, and they are ready to begin. So we are set to begin. Please note we are having a recording of this session that we shall share with you after the meeting for your reference, and also for you to ensure. Please, people, confirm if you can hear me, because we have a comment in the chat that someone is unable to hear. You can give a thumbs up and let us know if you're able to hear us. Perhaps you could also check your mic settings or volume settings, because I see a couple of thumbs up. Kindly address this issue to make sure that you can hear us. Okay, I see thumbs up and waves, so it means the majority are able to hear. For the parts of the recording that you may have missed, the parts of the session that you could have missed, you could refer to the recording. And apologies that you're unable to hear us. We hope you're able to sort that out very soon. Okay, since we are good to go, let's move into our sustainability moment for today. It's the rainy season, it's raining cats and dogs in almost all places. So we want to urge you, and I encourage you to take caution during the rainy season, most especially during floods, to never attempt to drive or walk or swim through floodwaters as they are dangerous. When feasible and plausible, please turn around. Where appropriate, move to a higher ground if the floodwaters are rising, and avoid staying in damaged buildings, as this could collapse and cause an additional hazard to you. Beware of any hidden hazards, because usually there are open manholes and debris that are in the floodwaters. So take note of that and beware of any power lines that may fall and avoid touching them. We want you to stay safe. Do not walk or drive where water is moving, but rather look at stagnant water and always check the firmness of the ground in front of you. So as said, at the IEC, the Industry Enhancement Center, we are an advocate for sustainability and safety, and these safety moments, you will see a lot more of them in all our capacity building sessions, because they are not only a mandate, but it's our purpose to make sure that the companies we support are always in high mode towards sustainability and safety. Thank you very much. That was our sustainability moment. Allow us to now dive a bit into what the Industry Enhancement Center is about and what programs and services we offer. So for starters, I'm not sure how many of you have been at the center before, but the Industry Enhancement Center is a sector-led initiative that is funded completely by TotalEnergies, that is TEPU, together with its joint venture partners. These include CNOOC, the Uganda National Oil Company, and UNOC, CNOOC, and TEPU. These are the main funders of the IEC. So all programs and services that we offer here at the center are free of charge and are funded by the joint venture partners, TEPU, CNOOC, and UNOC, in collaboration with the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, plus the Petroleum Authority of Uganda. Our mission is to enhance and build your capacities to be able to win more tenders, or to win tenders and bids in the oil and gas sector. That is our primary mandate. And how do we do this? We have several programs like capacity development, and this forms the basis of the discussion today. We are looking at capacity development. This is where the Bespoke program entirely falls. You will see in the subsequent slides that we are going to take you through the roadmap of your training journey, and this shall entail diagnostics, business simulation, short oil and gas courses, plus technical trainings. We do, however, have additional components like business advisory, where we offer mentorship, facilitate joint ventures and partnerships, support you in becoming certified and standardizing processes within your enterprise, and also support with access to markets and diversification. Access to finance stands out because most effective in this area, so this is a component also proactively look at by enhancing your access to financing opportunities, making you more financial, more investment ready. There are two people speaking at the same time. But if let's first, people kindly confirm if the voice is now clear. We've muted everyone else in the chat. Do you hear any echoes? If you have two gadgets logged in at the same time, please mute one of them, because that could be causing the echo. It's now clear. Okay. Please ensure to keep your mic muted at all times, And also the facilitators here shall try to mute you as we go on. Thank you. I receive an all clear now. I hope the last bits were clear. But moving on to the fourth component of the IEC, these are best practice events. Rewind a bit. Okay, we have a recording of that, and I'm not sure how much you missed, but we're talking about how we support access to finance, supporting your investment readiness, promoting financial partnerships. We've partnered with several finance and private partners who are eager to support your access to finance and also improve your financial management practices. Moving on to the fourth component, we have at the IEC regular events. These include quarterly supplier development workshops. So the theme for each workshop is selected according to the pertinent needs of the sector. We usually have key expert input from either an international oil company like TotalEnergies or CNOOC, or we invite a tier 1 contractor who is knowledgeable on the topic at hand. Or we also invite government institutions like Uganda Revenue Authority, NSSF, URSB, agencies that can speak to that particular topic. On top of that, we have networking events. These ones bring together in a more informal gathering SMEs to network, build partnerships, leverage synergies, talk to one another, share business cards, and stuff like that. On top of that, the IEC hosts workshops for tier 1 contractors and licenses, and to this you usually receive an invitation. If you're in our database, like you've registered for the Bespoke training program, we always send you invitations to attend these events. Last but not least, we have a resource center. This is the IEC Resource Hub as a one-stop center for all oil and gas related needs. So you can come in at the center to inquire. We have an SME training session and section. We have a repository, both online and physical, that you can take advantage of in trying to navigate your way around the oil and gas sector. So in brief, these are the components of the IEC's mandate. We have more information about the IEC. We also encourage you, for the new people, to visit our website. We shall type it in the chat. To visit our website, we usually post a lot of information and updates on our website. So we encourage you to bookmark it and always make reference to this website. Moving on, people, we want to enlighten you about the capacity building roadmap at the center. So how is your capacity building journey going to look like? What should you expect? This we have outlined in this flowchart. And I'm sure we are all here because we responded to a call for applications. That was the first major step. We put out a call for applications in January, to which you saw nicely responded. And because of the stringent criteria you had, we have to upload and congratulate you for making it into this training program. We had very many applications, but as said, we could only serve a few enterprises because of the resources available. And it is really an honor for us to get the opportunity of working with you in improving your organizational capabilities and capacities. So the call for applications was completed, and we expect to train 300 enterprises in this round of training. This training program is anticipated to run from April, like today, we've onboarded and kickstarted it, until August. We shall have the training programs run for 3 months, May, June, July, and a few that may be required in August. And we look towards graduation in August. So we've outlined this roadmap and how and in which capacity building initiatives you attend. We shall explain in the session today and take you through what to expect in detail. So the second step is the business diagnostic, actually forming part of our discussion today. We want to be able to understand the specific needs and requirements of each enterprise in order for us to provide a meaningful capacity building journey and roadmap. We do not want to generalize and say the issues facing these companies' participation in the oil and gas sector are similar and the same, but rather we want to approach it in a customized and bespoke manner to make sure each enterprise derives value and benefit from the training program, to make sure the courses we prescribe for you are what is really required and not something we are picking haphazardly. We also want to stand out as the IEC in offering customized and bespoke training programs that are really relevant to your current organizational structure and needs. That's why the business diagnostic, kind of like an assessment, is very, very important and shall determine the training journey and roadmap you take at the IEC. Then after the diagnostic, we shall determine enterprises that are new to the sector. For this, we have a foundational course. For all of these courses, we shall give you a bit more detail in the subsequent slides, but we've also lined up business simulation training for enterprises that are still in the growing phase. We have short courses and also technical trainings, plus access to finance. And at the end of this training journey, we shall have selected enterprises undergo coaching and mentorship to help them implement recommendations from the training courses. You must recognize that not everyone may require coaching and mentorship. It's only for those that really have the requirement and need for it. At the end of the coaching and mentorship session, we shall have an SME graduation event, as said, anticipated in September, whereby it will be merrymaking here and congratulating you for taking this key milestone and commitment towards improving your organizational performance. So that's the roadmap in a nutshell. I'll keep making reference to it as we go through the slides because it forms the basis of the discussion. Yes, so the call for applications we've looked at and we've highlighted that a total of 900 enterprises shall benefit for a period of 3 years, but for the first cohort, which you are part of now, it shall entail 300 SMEs. And for the sessions, we had an onboarding session yesterday. Today we have one, and tomorrow we have the last one. And each session is for roughly 100 enterprises. We welcome you once again and look forward to a very meaningful learning journey with you. Okay, so let's move to the diagnostic because this is also the gist of the conversation today. If we could move to the next slide. Okay, we are trying to put up the next slide. There seems to be some technical glitches. Yeah, here it comes. So as you looked at the capacity building roadmap, the business diagnostics is really the first step on the capacity building roadmap. So why do we want to do the business diagnostic? The business diagnostic, we are doing it as an assessment for each enterprise to identify your company's strengths, the weaknesses, any inefficiencies and risks that your company may face, because we would want to ensure that we provide the appropriate capacity building intervention to your company, and also would want to ensure that we understand your particular needs and requirements. As emphasized earlier, we do not have a one-size-fits-all here. We have customized programs for each enterprise. So when we do the business diagnostics, as you shall see, we really hope for your company to provide a lot more insight and accurate information, because only when we provide accurate information in the diagnostic tool can the IEC be able to also provide accurate intervention and medication. We always look at it like a medical scenario. An enterprise comes in with symptoms and signs of not performing well in the sector, and these may be not winning bids, losing contracts, not attracting new clients. And we, the IEC, act as the medical personnel, so to say, coming in with a prescription of things for you to sort out in order to improve your performance here. Rest assured, the IEC will guide you through the bespoke training journey, as we are going to see in the subsequent steps. So the part of this session today, we shall deep dive into the business diagnostics tool that we are going to use. It will be an online session whereby we shall send you the tool after taking you diligently through it, such that after you've understood the aspects and bits of information you require, you're able to use it within your enterprise, not only today, but also consistently when you need to diagnose and take stock of your company's health. So this tool is not copyrighted. You feel free to share with other SMEs, feel free to share with other staff, use it collaboratively, such that we can get meaningful and accurate insight into the health of your business. So since we are deep diving into the BD, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so as I said, the business diagnostics, we are going to deep dive into, so we can move to the next slide. We shall give you a very clear outline of how the tool is set up and how you can use it to self-diagnose at your enterprise. So we can skip this slide and move to the next slide and dive into the course content that has been outlined. Okay, so according to our capacity building roadmap, as you may recall, the first gate pass is the foundational course in oil and gas. This is really designed for enterprises that are new to the oil and gas sector and are seeking to understand what the sector is like. So how is the sector structured? Who are the main players in this sector? What are the major opportunities? If you are an enterprise that seeks to understand the upstream and midstream players, who are the people to talk to find contracts? So when we are delivering this course, we shall make sure that the content is updated to match the current opportunities within the sector. When we move to the next slide, you will see that we are targeting senior executives within each enterprise. We want to make sure that the people who are able to take executive decisions attend this training. It shall be a 2-day training, and the training methodology shall be diverse. We shall have presentations, we shall have group discussions, case studies, videos, and success stories. Most importantly, all trainings at the IEC shall adopt a practical approach. We shall have key expert speakers come in at various intervals to tell us more insights and accurate insights. So for foundation to oil and gas and current opportunities, it's very often that we shall invite a representative from an international oil company like TotalEnergies, or someone from UNOC, or someone from a tier 1 contractor, to dive deep and tell us the opportunities, and also tell you about eligibility requirements, and tell you how to apply and how to seek feedback and additional clarification. So the course content is mainly for enterprises that are new to the sector. We shall introduce the sector, opportunities, the policies, how to become a supplier, what are the challenges and opportunities, and also address solutions that you may face in accessing opportunities. So that's the first course. It's not mandatory for everyone, but after the diagnostic, we shall determine which enterprises are still new to the sector and require a deeper understanding of the sector in order to participate more meaningfully. The second course is a business simulation. This is designed for enterprises that may not be new to the sector, but they have several growing aspects, what we would term as SGBs, small and growing businesses. So if you have growing needs, if you have issues like setting strategic plans, business plan, you're still having trouble accessing new markets, innovating, and things like that, coming up with a business process modeling, setting KPIs, key performance indicators. This is something we are going to really look at. And the simulation is an innovative way of training. We shall have a computer room here and a learning station. We shall have laptops with the appropriate software setup. The software we shall be using is called SimVenture. So if you have time, you can check it up and familiarize yourself already with this application, because we are going to be able to simulate various business scenarios in a risk-free environment. Everyone will get the chance of becoming a CEO in this simulation. So if you're just representing your CEO, consider these 3 days as the in-charge CEO, because you will be able to hire new staff, you will be able to fire, you will be able to allocate resources, you'll be able to undertake some business decisions that are important for your organization. And we hope that at the end of this simulation, you will take the learnings from the simulation and apply them in the real world business. Because when you're comparing, you would say, oh, when we are simulating, I made a poor financial decision or a poor investment decision, and it led to the loss of maybe 2 new customers or to 70% of the market share. So with this simulation, you're able to replicate the learnings and apply them into real life business situations. How have we structured the simulation? The simulation shall be a 3-day intensive training. Important to note that while some of the courses at the IEC may be entirely physical, where we require you to come to the center and attend the trainings, like the simulation will be entirely physical. We have other trainings that shall adopt a hybrid and online mode. When we take the example from today, we are onboarding you entirely in an online manner. So everyone received a link, they were able to log in, and it's a capacity building session. This will be the same mode for our business diagnostic tool application, where you will be able to receive a link with the business diagnostic tool, and we shall work very effectively and innovatively online. For the action planning, for example, this will be a physical session whereby we shall invite you in groups to the IEC to interact with you as we make action plans for each particular enterprise. We shall also adopt some hybrid methodologies. Sorry for that. We shall adopt some hybrid methodologies whereby we have key experts log in and give us a session online while we are here at the IEC. So we intend to be flexible, and in the much longer term, all these learning resources shall be deposited into an online learning platform for SMEs to be able to access in a self-paced learning manner. But that is only in the pipeline. For purposes of your cohort, we are going to have hybrid sessions and physical sessions depending on the course and how technical it is. Okay, so the business simulation itself, as we said, shall be physical. It will be a 3-day training, and we shall look at mainly 4 aspects of the business setting. We shall look at how you've organized your business. So looking at strategic plans, resource management, credit control, sustainability. The second component is business operations. How do you manage resources efficiently? Purchasing, logistics, quality control, sales and marketing, and also research and development. Then when we move on to the short courses, it's important to highlight here that this will take an average of 3 days. So each course would last 3 days in a hybrid or physical manner, depending on the actual course. We've been able to outline some courses that we've developed in consultation with our stakeholders. These include the Tier 1 contractors, the IOCs, industry experts, industry associations. They have given us a bit of feedback on what they see as the key issues affecting effective SME performance. The IEC also conducted a gap analysis, and most of these issues stood out. So we've already preempted and developed courses to support SMEs. Most of the feedback we receive regarding challenges centers around these topics. So we've already identified them and we've developed courses for you with learning resources and materials and downloads that we should be able to share with you, and including templates for your use. However, based on the results of a business diagnostic, we shall also have room for additional courses. If, for example, during the diagnostic, we find out that many SMEs are in the construction sector and they require a green building course, we shall remain flexible and design a course for this and adapt our retraining resources. So we remain flexible, and the business diagnostic is going to shed more light into the training programs that we should further develop and refine for you. Then after the short courses, we have technical courses, and all right, it looks like we are back on. Apologies for that technical glitch. I'll just recap again because not sure what we missed. We had introduced the slide of the technical trainings as the slide went off. Maybe could I request that anyone with a video connection switches it off for now so that we maintain stability in the connection. It's nice. We could, yes, a kind request for everyone with a video on to just simply turn it off. Then we can have a more stable connection. It should work fine after that. Okay, nonetheless, let's proceed. We are interested. So on the technical trainings, we hope to cover the 3 ISO standards. That is ISO 45001, Occupational Health and Safety, ISO 14001, Environmental Management System, ISO 9001, Quality Management System, and also we also have Tier 1 technical training. So we've already earmarked the 3 trainings that we shall implement in an integrated management system. There is, however, room for us to identify additional ISO certifications that may be sector specific and are required by many enterprises. Maybe a food safety management system, a risk management safety system, any trainings that may be halal or the like. We should be able to get this done if the demand for these additional courses clearly exists. What is, however, unique at the IEC, and we wanted to highlight already, are the Tier 1 technical trainings. So allow me to explain what we mean by Tier 1 contractors already. The way the oil and gas sector in Uganda is set up or elsewhere, we have regulatory bodies. These include the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. Then we have other regulatory bodies that, like the Petroleum Authority of Uganda. These are the ones that issue contracts to oil and gas players, international oil and gas companies. So they directly contract them to implement oil and gas contracts. So we have these international oil companies, namely TotalEnergies, CNOOC, Uganda National Oil Company, ECOP, the East African Crude Oil Pipeline. We have these entities also further subcontracting. And this first level of subcontracting, they are called the Tier 1 contractors. So whoever has a direct contract from TotalEnergies, from CNOOC, ECOP, UNOC, is a Tier 1 contractor. And these Tier 1 contractors are mandated to deliver technical trainings in a particular theme to SMEs in the sector. So we have players like BTS, Motor Angel, SLB, Macdamo, Sinapec. All these ones have specific and unique technical areas where they operate. But we need to do a skills and knowledge transfer to Ugandan SMEs, and the IEC coordinates this training. So we have a lineup of such trainings. The agenda and scheduling of these will also be shared with all participants. And we take pride in the fact that most of the time SMEs are unable to access this information, but at the IEC, we enable this knowledge transfer from large and international multinational companies to Ugandan companies. So this is also lined up and on schedule, and these courses shall be availed for you during the Bespoke training program. Yes, so when you recall our learning journey, we had coaching and mentorship after all these capacity building interventions. When an enterprise is able to complete 80%, and 80%, what do we mean? By 80%, we mean you have first of all participated in the business diagnostic. This is a mandatory step for each of the enterprise because every sick person, so to say, requires their own diagnosis. So we've made it mandatory, and after the diagnostic, which includes an action planning exercise, and afterwards followed by a prescription of selected activities, we shall proceed to offer coaching and mentorship to those enterprises that require it. You could find that after a training, an enterprise can easily implement the training recommendations, but others could need further support and hand-holding, which we are also able to do through our coaching and mentorship. That will happen either as group coaching, peer coaching. We have several modalities in which we can offer that to you. So during the coaching phase, we shall also perform a review of the action plans and make sure that we help you bring them to completion and fulfillment in time for the big day when we graduate. As I said, expected date of graduation is September this year. And upon fulfillment of all the requirements, courses, and the facilitators assess that this enterprise has fulfilled requirements, so we graduate enterprises, not individuals, then the enterprise shall receive certification that is credited to the Industry Enhancement Center. Our role and advocacy is to make sure that the oil and gas players, the major oil and gas players in the country, recognize this certificate and give you an advantage when you apply for bids, because we would then assure them that company XYZ has fully participated in our training session. They fulfill all key requirements, they are compliant, and we've analyzed and assessed them, and we believe they are ready to participate more effectively in the sector. So we may be wondering what the graduation requirements are. What do you need to fulfill in order to graduate at the IEC from this bespoke training program? For those who want to wear yellow, red, blue on this day, what do you need to achieve? First of all, complete 80% of the training courses. As said, it's only the mandatory business diagnostics and any other 3 courses that we shall define in your action plan. Then there are courses that have mandatory modules. For example, if we have technical courses from the Tier 1 contractors, they may require you to have completed a mandatory module before you can graduate. Then, for each action plan that we issue out, you must at least follow up on 60% of the things we outlined there. And remember, we said we have best practice events, the supplier development workshops, and the networking events. So if you attend any 2 of those, you're good to go for graduation. So as you can see, it's a comprehensive learning program that requires your dedication, commitment. You can already note that the same person doesn't have to attend all the trainings. The company is able to send different representatives depending on the topic. So if it's an HSC training, they can send the HSC officer, They can, if it's a compliance training, they can send the operations manager, depending on the theme, as long as this person is able and competent enough to understand key learning concepts and also complete assignments effectively that we have in the course. So it doesn't matter who you send in the end, as long as they are able to effectively implement and scale up learnings across the entire organization. A question may already be coming to your mind: can we attend more than one person from one enterprise? The answer is preliminary no. For online session, for physical sessions at the center, we have a particular mandate and not infinite resources. So we recommend that you send the most appropriate person who is really going to kickstart a learning journey across the entire company. So someone who is able to engage their fellow colleagues at the end of a training, tell them about the learnings, help them implement recommendations. That is the person we are looking at welcoming. For online sessions, we shall handle on a case-by-case basis. We shall let you know if there are additional slots, but also it's primarily one representative per person. So having looked at the graduation requirements, what you need to graduate at the IEC, we've come to the first part of the presentation and the workshop. At this point, we encourage you to use the chat to input any questions that you may have towards your learning journey. And also, meanwhile, those that have not been able to register yet, we are putting up the QR code again. We shall share learning resources and the BD tool with only the persons and companies that would have used the online registration link. It's just a couple of questions, maybe 5 questions. If you're having trouble accessing the link or scanning the code, do let us know. We have an additional provision of pasting the questions to you so that you can submit this via email. For now, we are looking forward to your feedback, comments, questions in the chat. Yeah, we can already check the chat to see if there are questions. Please keep them coming. It's our joy and mandate to make sure that you understand your learning journey. Okay. All right, thank you, people. We already have some questions in the chat that we are going to address each and every one by one. Thank you, people. Thank you for attending so well. We have an online attendance of over 80 enterprises. Thank you very much. The first question from Noah is, will all lessons be attended at the center, all online? So to re-emphasize this, thank you, Noah, for that question. Some of the courses shall be attended in physical presence here at the center, depending on how technical it is and how practical it is to have people in the room. Case in point is the business simulation that requires access to special software, whereas we shall have other sessions conducted online, like the session today, the session next week for the BD tool application, and also the session for action planning will be physical. We shall, however, keep letting you know on the mode of attending in a timely manner so that you can plan your presence here, or at least make sure you have your technical capabilities in place before the workshop begins. So thank you, Noah. I hope that covers your question. Yes, there is a request for the PPT to be shared. We are gladly going to do this. We are going to share the PPT after this meeting. We shall also share a recording of the session for you to make reference to and also catch up on anything you could have missed due to network coverage. Yeah, we shall share. Do please register online and you shall receive an update. Okay, someone is having trouble registering. Let me have my colleague. If you're both unable to register using the QR code and the link, let's paste the questions in the chat so that you can give us feedback via email, the same email, Sandra's email that sent you the invitation to this meeting, you can reply. You can make a reply to those questions, and we shall also be able to register you. That's it for you, Shiba. Then we have a question from, or we have a request for clarity from Sharon. Thank you, Sharon. I'm kindly requesting you to clarify on payments for these courses. All they are free. Yes, thank you, Sharon. At the onset of the presentation, we said and emphasized these courses are entirely funded by TotalEnergies Uganda and its joint venture partners, CNOOC and UNOC. And needless to say, kindly thank them when you meet them. All this is courtesy of their sponsorship and funding. So please do not be deceived or connived. All courses at the IEC under the Bespoke Training Program are completely free. You do not have to make any payments. We also do not have any commitment fees. Whatever courses we have are free. If there are any additional certifications that a company may require, these ones they can pursue individually, but for the courses we have outlined under the capacity building program and not for payment to SMEs. Okay, moving on to Frank, who says, I'm using the phone. Is it possible to send the link via email? Okay, we can share the link for registration. Actually, you can always pre-share this link with the meeting. You can scan. We are going to make sure you get this link for those who were unable. Or if you could click the chat, the link is also check the meeting chat. Let's have someone post the meeting link again in the chat such that you can access it more easily here. Okay, we have an additional question. Thank you. Keep them coming, keep them coming. We are all geared up. How long does the physical training take? This is a question from someone called Ambrose. So Ambrose, most of the physical trainings, the standard training here will take 2 days. That is foundation to oil and gas. Most of the short courses we mentioned are 3 days intensive training. So we shall have a training from 9 to 5. And the longest course we have here are the ISO certifications because they are standard trainings, standard training packages are available, and they are usually 5 days. So the lead implementers course for IMS, Integrated Management Systems, is 5 days, but also the lead auditors course is 5 days. So that would be a total of 10 days, but on average, the short courses are 3 days. Thank you for that. Someone called Douglas wants us to share the schedule of the trainings ahead of time. Gladly. So Douglas, we intend to do this. So after the business diagnostic exercise, you're going to receive a link. So cohort 2 will be doing the business diagnostic exercise on 29th, that is Tuesday. 29th would be Tuesday. You're going to receive another link inviting you to the business diagnostic exercise. After the exercise and action planning, you will receive, because we want to make sure we know which courses you're going to take before we issue the calendar. So you receive a calendar and the dates such that you can prepare in advance. The expected date of start for the first cohort would be around end of May. So whoever is prescribed to attend this particular course that falls at the end of May, we should kickstart most of the learning programs. Okay, thank you very much for your questions. We have a question. For business simulations, will we be required to come with our laptops? Okay, thank you for this question. Sarah, no, you would not be required to come with your laptops. It's a very engaging training that is also fun. So we have put up a learning station here at the center. There is special software, as we said, that was called SimVenture that we had to put to install. You will be using this software to simulate. The learning center will remain open. If you find this an enthusiastic learning journey, we shall leave the resource center open for you to walk in and simulate at ease. If it's something very meaningful for you, you can also discuss with your management to purchase the software. A single license is very, very affordable, and we can give further details to people who attend the simulation. It's very, very affordable, like in just $2 dollars, you can get a license to simulate at your comfort. Okay. We have a question from Sandra, I think. Sandra wants to know, is the business simulation for all firms? Okay. How many people can attend from an organization, and can participants from an organization be alternated for the training sessions? Okay, this is a 3-in-1. Let's dissect it. Is the business simulation for all firms? No, Sandra, the business simulation is for enterprises who, after the diagnostic exercise, display issues and challenges in achieving strategic and operational indicators. This is what we shall prescribe for them. It has various aspects. It's usually for growing businesses who are still struggling, who don't have a lot of resources to hire human resources completely, to hire technical expertise, enterprises that still require some direction. So it will be on a needs basis, and every enterprise that needs the simulation will get the opportunity to simulate. How many people can attend? As we said, 1 per enterprise for the physical trainings. For the other on-grid and hybrid, sometimes we shall have an allowance for people to log in into a key expert session, so that may be free to have as many people as possible in the online meeting. But for the physical, kindly nominate 1 person who has the most skills transfer strategy in place. Then we can definitely alternate participants. It's also encouraged not to overwhelm 1 person, depending on the theme. Okay, kindly share a PPT. Gladly, we are going to do that. Douglas, we shall share the PPT together with the recording of the session today. People who are still having trouble registering, I hope you're getting support. Okay, thank you. This is from Carrefour Ventures. Thank you for this learning opportunity. I'm asking, will my business benefit? Because we have attended many trainings by Zoramu, but have failed to break through the oil and gas contracts. Okay, thank you, Carrefour Ventures. So the IEC is implemented by Zoramu and its joint venture partner IAA, Invest in Africa. So we've just kickstarted the training program. Today is the onboarding. We've, however, had events, networking events, supplier events that are also aimed at enhancing your participation in the sector. So the Bespoke is more of a personalized and customized learning journey that will catapult your chances and enhance them completely. What you may have attended in the past before are networking and supplier development workshops. These are best practice events, although we've also had a good traction. We've had several enterprises who had not won a tender before give us testimony that after this training, this workshop, they've been able to win tenders. Perhaps during the diagnostic, we can dive deep into why, despite the trainings, you've not been able to win a tender before. So I think you're in the right place and in the right training program. The diagnostic will surely highlight the reasons why. And we should be able to come up with an action plan to close any gaps. Do the ISO trainings come with certifications? Okay, thank you for that question. Not as such. The IEC has not committed to making payments for the certifications. We are, however, engaging partners, the program funders. We are a bit optimistic at the moment. We can't say that we are going to fund the certifications. There is engagement that is being done already to make sure that we have an arrangement to at least either cost share or fund the certifications. At the moment, we can't say majority and entirety, but thank you for the question. Okay. Since each SME interested in the trainings can only send one representative, how can the acquired knowledge be transferred to the rest of the enterprise? Okay, this is for one. So our training methodology and the pedagogy we are using is to enhance knowledge transfer. For all the learning courses and modules, we have working sheets, templates that the person who is representing the company is able to now use to allow knowledge transfer. We are going to maximize this during the training to make sure you don't lose out, because ultimately we want this implemented. And also the action plan will allow for knowledge transfer. Another question, a continuing question, will the representative have the ability to certify other employees? Okay, I'm also thinking, no, they will not have this ability. They will not have this magic power. Only the IEC has the magic power. And to note again, we are not certifying employees, but we are certifying the enterprise. This is an enterprise development program which wants the enterprise to grow. We do not want to be the cause of turnover, people getting certified and leaving the enterprise. We are working sustainably by promoting enterprise development. So when we have formidable enterprises, this will further cascade to enhance competitiveness, and then the enterprises will be able to offer maybe better working conditions and packages to their staff. That is the ultimate goal, and that's our theory of change. So they will not be able to certify their fellow enterprises. Okay, does the technical training all come with a certificate that we've addressed? Then is the training for people, only for people in executive positions? No, we just want the most technical person to attend. So HSE training, HSE officer, for example. Then are all courses for both lead implementers and auditors be undergone from the same platform? I'm not sure we understand this question, but the lead auditors will happen maybe in this month, and then the lead implementers will happen first. And after a specific period of time, the lead auditors will also happen. So you should be able to receive clear detail from us when the trainings are scheduled. We have another question. Okay. What if the company is new to the sector and I find that I need to study all courses from introduction to industry? Is it possible? This is possible, depending on the action plan. It is possible. Where we have an online allowance, we can let you join. But if there are technical trainings addressing a specific sector, then that is where the exceptions come in. You may not be able to attend all. It will depend on what action plan you take. And if the company is in dire need of all trainings, we can schedule and also prioritize to see what would bring the quickest wins to your enterprise. Okay. So once representatives, this is a question from Neopath HSC, once representatives from these companies go through 5 days of intense training of ISO and they implement, will the organizations be able to attain ISO certification? Since you mentioned that the certificates will be issued to companies, not individuals. Okay, thank you for that question. It's really an ISO specific question, but also for your note, ISO certificates are really technical and only offered to companies, not individuals. There is no way this organization will certify individuals because there are several stringent requirements the organization must fulfill. So to acquire this certificate, it's a process, quite tedious, requires a lot of commitment from both employees and managers. And once we take you through the gap assessment to identify the gaps, we take you through the trainings, the lead implementations, for you to be able to implement these standards and also to audit via the lead auditors and close out with a certification audit. You should be ready to be certified if you pass and close out all non-conformities. So only when you work towards closing these gaps, are you eligible for certification? We cannot provide a guarantee unless you work hand in hand with the facilitators to close out these gaps. Another question. Okay. Thank you, people. When will the recordings of this workshop be shared? So immediately after this meeting, we shall review the recording and package it for you, and together share with the course content and the BD tool, because the next session we are going to review the BD tool. Can I request, a question comes in from Prudence, can I request to be added a particular short course in case the business diagnostics do not show that I need it? Okay. Okay, definitely you can make the request, but if we grant it, is the question. We are not sure you should take Panadol if you have no headache, but we can clarify and expound upon that on a case-by-case basis when we are doing the action planning. So if you think you fancy a certain course and we need to get it, we can clarify this on a one basis. Okay. So you talked about the lead auditor course. Yes, I did. Which is for individuals. Will they receive certificates? No, the lead auditor's course is also taken on behalf of the enterprise. It's not that the lead auditors take the course, the individuals take the course, then they want to get certified. No, it is a course that is still accrued to the enterprise, not the individual. Usually the individuals must do an exam. It doesn't still mean though that you're the ones getting the certificate. It is the enterprise that you're representing that gets the certificate. Okay. On that note, I would kindly like to request that we pause the question session for now and dive a bit more into the business diagnostic to get you ready for the session on Tuesday next week. My colleague is going to put that up, a business diagnostics tool. Don't forget, keep the questions coming. We may have ample time after the presentation on the BD tool to come back to your questions. As the tool is coming up, we still even have a question we can attend to already. Our graduates who have just joined these companies, encouraged to study all these courses, all for only HSCs and executives only. Okay, depending on your company resources, you may make an assessment and see that the only person who is able to attend these courses is the graduate. It's not a crime to be a graduate, but are they able to replicate and enhance knowledge transfer? That is the key question. You do not want to send someone who is ultimately unable to implement all the learnings or encourage and propel an range of transformation and change within your organization. So it's wise that the company manager and board of directors, if applicable, think very diligently about this and nominate that person who is able to replicate and give the biggest impact to your company. So thank you very much. We shall return to the chat in a while. We are going to move to the second session of the workshop that is taking you through the business diagnostics tool. It's a tool we've developed in consultation with sector experts. We've been able to pilot this tool with many enterprises like yours to pick their brain and also identify whether this tool will give us the right results. So far, so good. We are happy to say most of the enterprises who have piloted it think it's a practical means and solution to identifying their major issues. It may appear a bit lengthy at the beginning, but you realize that in the end, it's just a yes or no tool. In most of the cases, you will have to click yes or no. All input very short information clarifying why you put yes or no. It's not technical, can be used by different people across all levels. It just requires a bit of collaboration within the team to make sure that you fill it out accurately. So for sessions that require information on human resource performance, on HSE performance, on financial performance, we encourage you to engage the responsible service provider, the responsible technical staff to be able to fill it out completely. So we've tried to enlarge it such that you can see the various elements. So we have this tool. It has a total of 5 worksheets. They are rather small worksheets, and some require your input, some do not require input. When you look at the first sheet that is asking for your business information, we just want to have all this information in one sheet. We know you submitted this when you are applying, but nonetheless, we just want you to recap your company name. We have a column here. Important for you to note that we have the cells protected. We don't want you to delete any information in error. We've protected the sheet and only left the cells where you have to put information. So as you can see there, you can put your company name. For us, it's the Industry Enhancement Center. When was it established? We put the date, maybe 2024. What is our core business activity? Maybe training. So for companies that have more than one training core business activity, you can highlight the 3 most relevant ones for this course. Just highlight that we do drilling, engineering, and procurement. That will be enough. So the current number of employees, you let us know. We want to know what kind of enterprise we are dealing with, how large, how small it is, also to customize our training program accordingly. When we reach annual turnover, here we mean for the past year, 2024, we can clearly highlight that in the brackets, that we mean how much revenue was created in 2024. Now, once again, we want to encourage you to be as accurate and honest as possible when you're filling out that tool. The tool is not filled out for any third parties. It is only and only for the purposes of doing an assessment for your enterprise. The more accurate the information we have, the better we are positioned to make sure we give you a customized training program. We are only going to analyze and use the results to place you into the training program that you require to do the action planning more effectively and efficiently based on your company characteristics, and also ensure that it's a meaningful journey for your enterprise, because we value your time that you have to dedicate to making that money. Okay, so if you have any previous experience in oil and gas, please note only oil and gas. If you've won a contract in maybe on the standard rail gauge or in agriculture, that is very nice. Although in this case, we are only looking at experience in oil and gas in Uganda. So please, or not only in Uganda, but experience in oil and gas that you may have. As long as it's oil and gas related, please feel free. Okay, you can see that's already the first sheet of the work of the BD tool. If you have any questions as we go through the tool, please put them in the chat. As we finish now the first session, please put the questions on how to use the tool in the chat. We are going to attend to them. Okay, now we want to dive a bit deeper and allow us to look at the assessment summary, because it will provide a clearer understanding once we dive deeper. The assessment summary, that is the worksheet that follows. Okay, we are going to try and enlarge it such that you can see it at least. So this is a sheet that you do not have to fill out. This is something that has been summarized automatically. So as you fill out your scores, what I mean is, as you click yes and no in the sheet before, the scores are being automatically updated here. We've set out this sheet to have various themes. We have 10 major themes that we've chosen once again in consultation with key sector players. With SMEs like you, we've piloted it with SMEs who think it is a true representative of the major aspects. After the 10 aspects, we have an allowance for any additional aspects that you may deem as important. And we have a maximum score for each of the aspects. And when you fill out, you get a mark. For example, in compliance, once you score 0 completely, if you have no throughout, if you click no, you will get a mark that is between 0 and 25, which we would regard as being rather extremely poor. So in this red code, we know we would have to work day and night with you to first of all improve this score by attending to the individual aspects where the no's are coming from, and also have to make sure we avail more training opportunities for you, so that at the end of the day you have a healthier score and you are able to submit better bids and win more tenders in the sector. So when the color code automatically goes to yellow, it means the score is between 26 and 50, and here it's rather poor and also in need of improvement. When the color code changes to blue, we know you're between 51 and 80, and the fact that you're just above average and also may require some intervention. So for an enterprise that scores above 80%, it means they may not require the same capacity building effort as that one that has been red coded, but it also means there may be room for improvement depending on how you score. If you score 100%, we shall not let you go. We shall take you prisoner, because we're also looking at diversification. There are so many other things you can do. It's not only oil and gas that has opportunities. We shall still engage you to make sure you take advantage of many more opportunities out there. So for each of the aspects, there are several questions we ask. And in the end, you have a score for each aspect. And when you look at the assessment sheet, you're able to know that, oh, wow, I'm such a good risk manager. I've scored 90%, but on the other hand, I'm very bad at certifications. So this would give us a picture of which areas are dominating excellence and which areas need urgent attention. So with that background, allow us to now deep dive into the BD assessment tool itself. We shall try to go step by step to make sure you understand each of the aspects. We are going to enlarge and hide the columns on the right because they are also a score, and only leave the windows and columns that inspect each of the aspects. When you look at compliance, we've divided it into 4 things: legal and corporate compliance. We also look at national content compliance and HSE compliance. So let's go back up and look at each of these one by one. In the first columns, we have the number, we have the theme, we have the matrices that are going to be analyzed, and then we have the aspects. When you see that column that says diagnostic result, when you click on it, you'll get a drop-down button. And this says, is it a yes or a no? So you would click either a yes or a no. And depending on what you click, you're scored automatically. But we also have room for additional comments and input. For example, you will tell us more, depending on the context, what are the challenges you face and any additional comments that are relevant to the discussion. If you think there is more information we should know, you put it in the green field and also highlight challenges. In compliance, first of all, we ask, does your company have a valid tax clearance certificate for the past year? You say yes or no. If you've not heard about any of these terms, if you do not know what a tax clearance certificate is, and you've cross-checked within your company with your finance manager, and they also say, oh, what is that? Supposing they say, what is that? I'm sure they will not say what is that, but supposing they say, then you click no. Because this will help us diagnose why, first of all, you don't know why it is and why you've not found it important before, and to help you get it. We shall support you. There are certain aspects here where we are able to help you acquire this documentation or requirements. We cannot say and generalize that for everything we are able to help you, but for most, you will find that we have a solution as the IEC. So another question is, Do you have a valid social security clearance? Okay, here we put for the last year, but we're advised in the session yesterday that these are issued on a monthly basis, and we are going to adapt the question to say, like, have you ever acquired a social security certificate in the past year? Something like that. And we see if you've required it or used it before. Then we also ask about the annual returns. Do you file annual returns with the Uganda Registration Services Bureau? Yes or no? And do you also have an operational license or permit for the last year? Okay, with the simple clicks of yes and no, we also look at corporate compliance and ask simple issues like, do you have a procurement policy, an anti-corruption policy? Do you have an anti-sexual harassment policy, or a data protection policy? Then also you tell us, based on what you've cross-checked within your team, if it's a no, please put a no. And we want to encourage you, under no circumstances should you try to rush and come up with these policies for the diagnostic. If you do not have, there is no need to rush, just indicate no. We know what to do. So just indicate no where applicable as accurately as possible. Okay, when we move to national content compliance, yesterday in the session, the SMEs wanted to know what national content was. We shall explain in the chat or during the Q&A session what we mean, but it's rather a policy that encourages the participation of Ugandan companies in the oil and gas sector. The questions we ask, is your company classified as a Ugandan company by the Petroleum Authority of Uganda? They have certain provisions which you must fulfill in order to be called a Ugandan company. So if you are aware that you are classified as a Ugandan company, then please click yes. If you're not aware, you can still engage us to guide you. And if you know for sure you are not, then please put no. Additional questions here include whether you have more than 70% Ugandan employees, whether you have a national content manager, whether you have a national content plan, or whether you have a value addition plan. Again, we want you to note some of these aspects are mandatory for oil and gas contracts. Some of them are nice to have. Some of them really just enhance your chances and make you stand out from the competition. Okay, when we look at HSC, that is health, safety, and environment compliance, we ask questions like, do you have an HSC policy in place? Do you have any workplace certifications, for example, from 2024? Do you have an HSC manager? So remember, yes, no, and additional input in the columns. Okay, looks like we've gone through compliance. The second theme would be operational efficiency. Here, we look at process optimization. We also look at how you integrate technology and innovation within your organization and how you manage resources. The approach and methodology is similar to the one above with compliance. We ask, for example, do you have any standard operating procedures? And have you developed a manual or handbook for this? And yes, you tell us, yes, I have an SOP manual, or I do not have. We ask again, do you have an inventory management system? If yes, please tell us, what type of system do you use? Is it manual? Is it a software? We're also interested in that detail where applicable. Yes, so do you have any performance indicators for your company? Do you want to win a huge market share for the next year? Do you want to bring new products onto the market? Do you want to attract new clients in oil and gas? Please tell us if yes, and then the tool can score you accordingly. In terms of technology, have you undertaken or do you have any process automations? Like, are there any systems that are automated? Do you have automatic functions? Do you have an innovation strategy? Do you use any innovative tools and software? We are really not talking about having a Gmail or things like that. We are talking about things that make you stand out. And feel free to list them. And if you have copyrights that are registered to your company, that we would want to know because it enhances your aspects in terms of innovation. In terms of efficient resource use, we are looking out for things that enhance sustainability, that is conserving the environment and mitigating climate change. If you have installed solar panels, for example, at your company, you have some energy saving technologies, we encourage you to click yes and list them for us. There may be things you could be using for your peers to learn from and for us to get to know about. Please click yes. We also ask if you also have any cost management strategies and ask you to elaborate a bit. Have you, for example, developed any relationships, any strategies like maybe buying in bulk, buying off season, buying from particular regions, things that have helped you reduce and manage costs? Do you engage your suppliers? That's another question. Do you engage suppliers? Do you have any framework agreements with them? Do you have any policies that take you or give you an extra edge with your suppliers? Here, you can click yes or no, and where applicable, kind of elaborate what arrangements you have. Okay, moving further down to financial health and positioning. In this aspect, we look at things like revenue generation and how you access capital within your enterprise. We also look at liquidity, your profitability, and your financial management practices and control systems. When we look at how you access and raise revenue, the Uganda Investment Authority has some guidelines in place for how to define a small, medium, micro, and large enterprise. So what we want to know here is whether you are classified above large, that is 360 million. If your turnover is above 360 million, you click yes. If no, please indicate. It's prudent that you cross-check with your finance manager. If this is something, you could click yes or no. And then, if you have accessed any commercial forms of financing from a bank, an equity investor, you click yes and tell us which ones. And if for some opportunity you've been able to access sector-specific financing, say there was a call from PSFU, the Private Sector Foundation, or the Petroleum Authority, or any angel investor, but their interest was in oil and gas and they availed to you funding, you kindly indicate which one and click yes. Okay, for the next two aspects, you really require input from your finance team or manager, because we want to determine your financial health by comparing your current assets to the current liabilities. So if the ratio is greater than 1, during the session next week, we shall have financial experts dive a bit more detail into how you can calculate this, but already you can engage your financial advisor or manager to have an estimate of the current assets and liabilities. You do not have to tell us this is the value of our assets, just if the ratio is greater than 1 or less than 1. We then also look at whether your company operated positive cash flows over the past year and whether you perform any periodic cash flow reporting. In terms of profitability, we shall have industry benchmarks set up during the session next week, and your role is to determine whether your gross profit margin is above the industry benchmark. So for construction, we shall have a benchmark, tourism, a benchmark, construction is my favorite, I think. I keep mentioning it. Engineering, a benchmark. So you compare and say, for example, our company has a gross profit margin of $500,000, but the industry average is 1 million. So I have to click no, and then make sure in the action plan we close this gap. Then financial management. This is basically how you manage finances. Do you have any policies? Do you perform any financial statements and reporting in the past year? Do you have audited books of accounts? And do you have any internal control systems in place and stuff like that? Again, the finance manager should be your friend. And for any financial management challenges, we look forward to you using those additional columns to tell us more about these challenges and how the IEC can support you further. Okay, moving on to the fourth theme. It gets easier, people. Don't fret. We look to bid management. And here there are just two aspects: how you strategize to win bids and how you handle what practices you implement. Again, we are looking at a strategy. Is it in place? We are looking at having a committee or team to handle the bids. Is it a scenario whereby it's a one-man team, one person scopes for the opportunities, one person prepares and responds to the expressions of interest, one person writes the bid, both financial and technical? So is it that kind of story? And do you have a bid library? Do you have a repository of all the documents like company certificate, the memo arts of the organizer of the company? Do you have your trading license near in this library, stuff like that? And then once you apply for bids, do you perform any post evaluation? For example, why were we unable to win bid XYZ? Is it because we didn't have all the necessary documentation? Did we submit outside the deadline? Was our bid poor? Did we not have competitive pricing, etc., etc.? So for the requirements, do you have enough technical resources and expertise to manage and apply for bids in oil and gas? Do you have any project management skills? Have you managed a project before? Do you have a project manager? Do you have previous bidding experience? When you've put this, even if you've put this in the session, in the sheet at the beginning, we want you to fill out yes or no so that it can be scored accordingly. So also under bid management, we ask if you have any. Just a minute, we need to scroll down. And do you usually meet the occasional or the regular bidding requirements? Do you struggle in this area of putting together a bid in the necessary format, with the necessary documentation? And if you've not bidded before, then you can put no. We move on to contract management, and this session really applies to only oil and gas. If you've not won a tender in oil and gas, despite the fact that you may have managed contracts elsewhere, simply click no. It doesn't mean that you'll perform very badly. It will just give us an indication that you may require help to win contracts in oil and gas. So the first aspect is on the volume and nature of contracts. We want to understand further what is the volume of contracts you've won. You may have won many tenders, but the overall volume is negligible, is depending on what's out there. So we ask, what is the average percentage? I pause. What is the average percentage of contracts won? What we mean, if you've applied for one contract, have you won it? Yes or no? That means if you've won it, you've won 100%. If you have applied for 2, 1, 1, that means 1 out of 2 equals 50%. If you've applied for 1 out of 10, that is 10%. For us, what we are looking out for here is the percentage greater than 50. If yes, then no. I mean, if yes, then it's a yes. If no, then you surely know. We also want to know at what tier of contracting. I want to dive deep into what we mean by a tier 1 contractor. We explained it in the presentation, but also to re-emphasize, a tier 1 contractor is the person directly implementing a contract on behalf of the international oil companies. So we are talking of TotalEnergies, CNOOC, UNOC, ECOP, but also a tier 2 contractor is that person under a tier 2, a tier 1. So you either have a contract from the international oil companies, or you have a contract for someone who has a contract from them. Anything beyond that, you're either a tier 3, 4, or 5, but we are just wanting to know if you belong to 1 or 2, and you click accordingly. So if the average volume, we mean if you've implemented 10 contracts, you get the total volume, divide by the number of contracts, and tell us if it's above $500. This is an important benchmark based on the sector, and also to provide additional advisory to you in terms of maybe taxation and the like. So what contract management procedures are in place? Do you have any performance management indicators? Do you easily obtain performance management guarantees? Do you engage stakeholders when you're doing contract management? Do you have any special tools you use for contract management? Do you have in place dispute resolution mechanisms? Do you have any reporting structures and templates for contracts? This is pretty straightforward, and we would want you to indicate as appropriate. Okay, allow us to move to market access. We look at market positioning, how you've positioned your business to win tenders, how you access markets, and how you've planned to diversify your business. So when we look at positioning, we want to know if you have either a business plan or a marketing plan for the current year. Also, do you offer any niche services in the sector? Is it something that your competitors can't deliver? Does this give you a competitive edge? If yes, please do list that and how you've positioned your business to take over and beat the competition. So market positioning also entails a customer relationship management strategy, how you engage your customers and how you position yourself to retain these clients. Access to markets is really basic. We are asking if you have any social media channels. So if you have either everything of YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, to mention but a few, yes. If you have a website, click yes and list for us the company website. If you have an export license where applicable, please click yes. Then we look at diversification. We want to explain diversification. You are a company that is producing chairs. You produce leather chairs, metallic chairs, wooden chairs. This is not the diversification we want to refer to if you're producing products, but if you're producing chairs, on top of that, maybe wall cabinets. On top of that, you're training people in carpentry. That is the diversification we are looking at. If you're in the service industry, we are also looking at if you're serving different target markets with different services. If you're an insurance broker and maybe you provide insurance services, then you have a risk assessment arm of the company. If you can identify at least 3 core businesses, then you're clearly diversifying. You click yes. Okay, so furthermore to diversification, we shall ask whether you're accessing any regional or international markets. So you may have an export, you may not have an export license, but in one way or another, you're accessing these markets. So do let us know. And very importantly, because we believe the partnerships you have, the joint ventures you pursue, have an impact on how you're able to grow your market and diversify. That's why we ask you to let us know if your company is in any active partnerships at the moment, or joint ventures, and also list as according. Okay, we are getting to the end of it. Hang in there, people. So risk management is pretty straightforward. I'll just do tack, tack, tack. So do you have a risk management plan? Do you have a risk register? Do you have a risk advisor? Do you have any insurance policies for the company? End of story. Good. Human resource, on the other hand, a key component. We shall look at how you recruit and staff your organizational company. We shall look at how you train and develop staff. We shall also look at how you compensate and how you perform and award bonuses at the end. So, do you have a staff policy in place? Do you have a record keeping system? Do you have a complaint management system? Is there a clear way and steps how you recruit, or every day you bring in a new relative? We just want to know how that operates. Training and development. Have you mapped out what your staff clearly require? Have you developed a competence? And do you have a plan on how to achieve these training objectives? In terms of performance, do you award performance within your organization? Compensation, do you have any allowances, or it's just salary and end of story? Do you have a medical scheme for staff? And do you give any annual bonuses, all performance-based rewards? That is it for HR. In ESG, we categorize as per component. We look at environmental aspects, social aspects, governance aspects. If you have any policies that align to environmental management, like waste management, water, you click yes and give the example. When it comes to social policies, we want to assess and see whether your company has any corporate social responsibility plans, any community engagement, any human rights. Yeah, if it's something you've never heard about, then it's probably a no. And in terms of governance, tell us about your transparency, diversity, gender, any policies that you may have are quite important for this diagnostic tool. Coming to environmental awareness, do you participate regularly in awareness training for environment? And if you have any sustainability action that has been taken. Here we mean, where applicable, have you done an environmental impact assessment for your company before? Do you perform sustainability reporting? Do you have a committee looking out for sustainability aspects, and whether you track and emissions? If your company is emitting, do you keep track of this? All right. Okay, we are summing it up all with the certifications. Please click where you have any of the ISO certifications under the integrated management system. That is quality management, environmental management, occupational health and safety. But if you also have any other sector specific certifications, an API, a food sector management, cybersecurity, risk management, something that is attaining, if you have a green building certification, please do highlight it and mention it in the comments. So last but not least, we recognize that while we may have taken a lot of caution and effort to identify the key aspects affecting your participation, it's very possible that we could forget or error to include something that is of importance to you and your organization. And that's where we would ask you to kindly list any additional challenges, all aspects that you think are important that the IEC has not included in this tool. This will also help us design the additional training courses that you may require. Please feel free to, you see, when the menu is out there, feel free to say, I want this and this, but also feel free to ask for add-ons, because it's something that can be considered for your consideration. So I know we are coming close to the end of that tool. Allow me to show you just 2 more pages briefly. That is the action plan. So after we've done this exercise comprehensively with you, we have an action plan that is based on your scores. If we could enlarge, we have the first columns displaying your scores, and then over the next columns, we are mapping out which trainings you're going to do. Remember, we promised to show you how you're going to fit into which training program. We are going to look at your score, your average score, and prioritize and say enterprise XYZ, looking at its big zeros in operational efficiency and financial positioning. We prescribe it to do an access to finance and financial management course and any other courses. And the priority is really high because it is falling below average in many of the aspects. So we shall map out for you 3 mandatory courses, and as said, where room is, we shall let you attend any wishful courses. When we scroll towards the end of the sheet, we have an action plan for you. This is where we'll have an one-on-one session with your enterprise. You will come here at the center and we do an action plan. Case in point, the company performed quite poorly on compliance, mostly on HSE. We say perhaps it's time you either hired an HSE manager or you attended an HSE training or got a consultant to advise you every now and then. So once you agree on the action plan, because not everything is plausible, we say who is responsible within the organization. So the person committing and the HSE manager or the boss, we set a deadline because we need to complete these things in time for graduation. Remember, you must complete at least 60%. Of course, we encourage you to complete as many action points that are pending where resources allow. And at the end of the training program, we shall use this tool again as an exit strategy. We shall let you self-diagnose again, and feel free to midway, when you think you've done some things to motivate your company and staff, you can take stock again and say, okay, at the beginning of May or April, we got an average of 30%, but look, 1 month after interacting with the IEC, attributed to their training programs, attributed to their support, we can score a cool 80. That would give us joy, and we are looking forward to such stories, to collecting them from you. And this is what we really hope for, because the IEC wants to deliver value, and we want to make sure we maximize value for your participation. The last sheet I want to show you is the M&E. We have a few baseline questions that we want to capture. They are nothing technical. It's just to ask you whether you've used any IEC services in the past before. For example, our website. Have you visited it? How often do you use it? Rarely. You just click whether you've applied for a contract before using our website, whether you've participated in any of our workshops before, like someone said they did before, and then whether you've submitted any bids. It's really taking stock to make sure we have the right M&E data before we take pride for all the achievements you get in your organization. We want to make sure it's a fair assessment that when we came in, things were like this, but when we are graduating, enterprises were really having benefited. With that, we summarize the BD tool. We are looking forward, and we know there are lots of questions in the chat that we now want to address. Please use the chat to put in any questions for understanding for any of the sheets we've displayed, but also we encourage you to register. For those who just joined in, we want you to use the chat link to to register for the workshop today. So immediately we shall run to the chat and see if there are any questions left over from the session before, and then address further questions from the tool that we've displayed. Remember, after the session here today, we want to give you time to interact with the tool and maybe ask around, such that when we have the session next week on Tuesday, roughly same time, you have all the information that you may require. You don't need to fill it out already, as long as you interact with it and understand. If you have any questions, come prepared with them, and we shall give you a link to submit the tools you would have completed. So after you complete the tool, we shall give you a link where you can log in and upload the tool after we've quite made sure that you've understood all aspects and you've been able to complete the tool without any problems. Okay, so back to the questions. Yes, we have some questions that were left over. And first of all, there was a follow-up question, if we allow us to recap. Who then passes down the information? I think this is in reference to IMS, the way the integrated management system is structured and how it works. It allows for knowledge transfer. So don't worry who is going to pass on the information, because even when the certification audit is done, these are the things they look out for. The training program has a number of components and modules that are really outlined, and only once the certifier is confident that you've closed all gaps will they issue a certificate. So that is a standard process. Even the IEC cannot influence it. Still requesting for the link. Let me ask my colleagues here to share the link again. So I don't see any new questions, but there was someone saying, oh, in case someone okay, it was in reference to a question above. Okay, that has been settled. So good people, is there a problem with your keyboards? We are not seeing the questions. Can we assume this was very clear to you? Or are you still getting those fingers ready to type? I just want you to throw a thumbs up if you're still online and just have no questions. Please do let us know. We are here for you. We are still here. I can see some thumbs up. Wow, wow, wow. Good. Thank you. You know how to use that MS Teams well. Thank you so much, people. Okay. We'll give you a couple of more minutes to think through the presentation, and as you get the questions in. We still have a question from Dilham. Okay, and here it goes. In case one goes through trainings and manages to get the company certified, then gets rid of the individual who then passes down the information to the colleagues, wouldn't this massive dedication have gone to waste? Okay, this is a typical enterprise development question. Thank you very much. It's similar to the case of chicken, egg, what came first? So you train me, I leave, and then I leave with my information. And where do I go with that information? So the practice is standard, and the reply is standard, because once you've helped this organization as the lead implementer, actually there are even clauses in the implementation of the standard that the person who trains stays with the organization until the end of certification. Otherwise, the company may lose the certification. So it's in the best interest of the company to lure you into staying, of course, within their means. If you're making unreasonable demands, or if it's a condition they can't meet, or it's something unavoidable, you may ultimately have to leave. But for enterprise development, we count this as a win. For M&E purposes, it's still a win, because wherever you go, whether you're taking this knowledge to a new organizational company, we believe the new company will benefit. So it's not a wasted approach for the IEC. Whether you begin your own company, we know that you're going to implement the knowledge you learned in the new company, you would have found it. So it's a classic enterprise development dilemma for training staff and then they leave, but we mitigate it by making sure certain provisions in the IMS implementation favor the company over the individual. Of course, it's the individual who gains the knowledge and ultimately they move with it. But ISO is so institutionalized that it's difficult to get away as an individual with it. Okay. Thank you, Jude, for the thumbs up. We have a question from Shali. Is there a deadline for submission of the tool? Yes, thank you for that. we have a deadline. So once we invite you to the session next week on Tuesday, we shall open the tool officially. We shall assume that you've interacted with the tool in the background, you know the questions, you've done some research. We shall give you 3 working days after the tool has been issued to you officially for you to complete and fill out requirements, then you can submit. So 3 days. In case, in the rare circumstance that you need additional days, please do let us know. We can also be flexible with that. Another question from Prudence. In regard to the tool, does the number of employees include trainees and non-permanent staff? In this case, not yes. We don't want to segregate or further classify and say let's only have the permanent. So any current employees, be it short-term or permanent term, at the moment that you may have in reference. Okay. Thanks so much, Madam. We should refer to the article that mentions that. I think there are articles in the IMS that refer to something in particular. Okay, then the compliments, they are walking in. Thanks for the presentation. We appreciate. We appreciate you too for your kind audience and your engagement and interaction with us. May we kindly have more of these sessions because we really have more to learn from this. Gladly, the IEC team is available to have more of these sessions with you already on Tuesday. We are back again in action with this particular cohort, and we encourage you to keep time because while there may be recordings, it's really good if you listen firsthand to the information as it's shared. Okay, thank you so much for taking us through this. It was amazing. All right. Looks like we have reached the end of the questions in the chat. Okay, thank you for the compliments. We are receiving them. And the other question is whether they will be able to get a summary of this session through email. Yes, you'll get a recording of this. It has a summary, the profile has a summary, and also the PPT that was used here today. You'll be able to get that via the email. Okay, I'll check in for a couple more minutes, 1 or 2. Thank you. Okay, so someone is requesting for a recap in a minute or 2, gladly, as more questions come in. What we've done today is an onboarding session for you as the selected participants in oil and gas for the Bespoke training program. We've taken you through the IEC, what it's about. We've taken you through the roadmap. You should anticipate the courses we have on our menu and the graduation requirements. To deep dive, we looked at the tool, the BD tool, what information you need to prepare in order to have a meaningful session next week, and also encouraged you and provided several guidance and tips on how to make the best out of your learning journey at the IEC. So that was it in a recap. The next steps, we are going to invite you again to the BD tool. It will be an online session whereby we provide support on how to fill out the tool. This will be a live session whereby after you feel that you have completed the tool as a company to its full completion, you can drop out of the call. Once you say, okay, all those aspects we have cross-checked, we have, all we don't have, we don't have, then we would also advise you and encourage you to submit and drop out of the call. After that, an additional request will come the other week for this cohort. It will be a Tuesday. Let me get the date already, just to manage your expectations. It will be early May, the second or first week of May. I don't know what to call that. It would be 7th May, but we are going to share all this information in an email. So on 7th May, you would be expected to come into the Industry Enhancement Center. It's located here in Kololo on Gabo Avenue. We shall also send you directions because the action planning exercise will be done in person with a representative from each of the companies. We want you to come in and really commit to completing this program and setting realistic action points that will enable you to win bids and tenders. Okay, more questions? Someone called Jude said, if we registered as a transport company on the NSD, but would like to get into other spaces, with this course provide us with the necessary knowledge to do so? Okay, thank you for that. That is the diversification, access to markets and diversification you catered for. No worries, because we shall give you concepts on how to diversify and move beyond the current sector, move beyond current markets, and enhance your scope to reach new markets and targets. Okay, we thank you. If any additional questions come up, please feel free to reach out to us. We shall also leave this chat open for 5 more minutes strictly. If there is something that you think you thought of in aftermath, you can use the chat. We shall attend to it via chat. But once again, thank you so much for your attendance today, for your commitment. All this shows that you're eager and enthusiastic to win those bids and tenders. It shows that you're committed, and we as the IEC reiterate our commitment to supporting you towards becoming a better company in Uganda's oil and gas sector. So thank you so much. On our end, it has been Christine Senteza with my colleagues Sandra Tiwanje and Daniel Debua, wishing you a last lovely week. And then there was the last one that came in, how do you receive the forms? We shall share the final BD tool. When you receive the tool now, just familiarize yourself, because we still need to take note of the questions you had, but you receive a formal invitation to now fill out the tool and submit within the 3 days. For now, allow me to thank you, wish you a lovely afternoon, and please don't forget to register. We are sending the information to the companies that have used the link to register only. Thank you very much. Kudos to everyone. Regards to your bosses. We wish them well. Bye-bye.